In the vast expanse of the universe, where stars twinkled like diamonds scattered across an endless velvet canvas, there existed a planet known as Xylora. It was a world unlike any other. Its skies shimmered with hues of purple and gold. Its forests glowed faintly at night, and its oceans sparkled with bioluminescent life. The inhabitants of this wondrous realm were equally extraordinary. Tall, graceful beings with iridescent skin that shifted colors depending on their emotions. Among them stood Princess Lyria, the most radiant of all. Lyria had always been curious about the cosmos beyond her home planet. Her father, King Varine, often warned her against venturing too far into uncharted territories. The universe is vast, he would say, but not every corner holds kindness. Yet, despite his warnings, Lyria's fascination only grew stronger. She spent countless hours gazing through telescopes, marveling at distant galaxies and dreaming of what lay beyond. One day, while observing Earth, a tiny blue in the grand tapestry of space, she felt an inexplicable pull toward it. Meanwhile, on Earth, Captain Marcus Kane was living a life far removed from royalty or cosmic wonder. A soldier by trade, Marcus had seen more battles than he cared to count. His rugged features bore the marks of years spent under harsh conditions, yet his eyes held a warmth that betrayed his tough exterior. He had joined the military out of duty but stayed because he believed deeply in protecting humanity from threats both terrestrial and extraterrestrial. Marcus's unit had been sent on a reconnaissance mission near the edge of Earth's atmosphere when disaster struck. Their spacecraft malfunctioned mid-flight, sending them spiraling uncontrollably toward unknown coordinates. As alarms blared and systems failed, Marcus braced himself for impact, or worse. But instead of crashing onto barren rock or being consumed by a black hole, they landed softly on soft grass beneath twin moons. When Marcus regained consciousness, he found himself surrounded by towering figures whose very presence seemed surreal. They spoke in melodic tones, their words flowing like music. Before long, he realized these creatures weren't hostile. Rather, they appeared intrigued by him. Among them stood Lyria, who watched him with wide, luminous eyes filled with curiosity and something else Marcus couldn't quite place. Despite the language barrier, communication wasn't entirely impossible. Through gestures and expressions, Lyria managed to convey some understanding. She took him to her palace, a magnificent structure made of crystal-like material that refracted light into dazzling patterns. Inside, corridors stretched endlessly, adorned with intricate carvings depicting ancient stories of Xyloran history. As days turned into weeks, Marcus learned more about this alien civilization. Their technology surpassed anything humans could imagine, yet they valued harmony above conquest. Lyria visited him daily, bringing gifts of food and artifacts from her culture. Slowly, a bond formed between them, transcending differences in species and background. For Marcus, she represented everything pure and magical about this strange new world. And for Lyria, Marcus embodied courage and resilience, qualities she admired immensely. However, love stories rarely unfold without complications, especially when interstellar politics are involved. On Xylora, marrying outside one's species required adherence to strict laws designed centuries ago to maintain balance among diverse populations. According to Xyloran law, if an Earthling wished to marry an alien, they must also take 2 additional alien spouses as part of a diplomatic gesture sanctioned by the government. This revelation hit Marcus hard. How could he possibly explain such customs back home? More importantly, how did Lyria feel about sharing him with others? When he finally broached the subject with her, she listened silently before responding with quiet determination. "I will do whatever it takes," she said softly, though sadness lingered in her voice. The solution came unexpectedly. Lyria proposed that Marcus marry her 2 younger sisters, Elira and Ceres. Both possessed beauty rivaling Lyria's own, though each carried distinct personalities. Elira, the middle sister, shared Lyria's adventurous spirit, but tempered it with practical wisdom. Ceres, the youngest, radiated innocence and mischief, often teasing Marcus until he couldn't help but laugh. Preparations for the triple wedding began immediately, transforming the palace into a hive of activity. Servants bustled around, decorating halls with floating flowers that emitted sweet fragrances. Musicians practiced melodies meant to echo throughout eternity. Meanwhile, Marcus grappled with conflicting feelings: joy at gaining not just 1 but 3 extraordinary companions, guilt over potentially hurting Lyria, and sheer disbelief at the absurdity of his situation. On the eve of the ceremony, tensions ran high. During a private moment, Marcus confided in Lyria about his fears. "What if I can't give you all the happiness you deserve?" he asked, voice thick with emotion. Lyria placed a gentle hand on his cheek, her touch cool yet comforting. "Happiness isn't measured by numbers," she replied. "It's about connection. You've already given me more than I ever dreamed possible." The next morning dawned bright and clear, casting ethereal light over the palace grounds. Guests arrived from across the galaxy, representatives of various species dressed in elaborate attire. Humans mingled awkwardly with beings sporting multiple limbs or translucent bodies, creating scenes straight out of science fiction novels. Despite initial apprehension, laughter soon filled the air as everyone embraced the spirit of celebration. During the ceremony itself, tradition dictated certain rituals unique to Xyloran culture. Each couple exchanged vows accompanied by symbolic gestures involving glowing orbs representing unity and commitment. When it came time for Marcus to speak, he looked into Lyria's eyes, then Elira's, and finally Ceres's, pouring sincerity into every word. "I may not fully understand your ways," he admitted, "but I promise to honor and cherish each of you with all my heart." Applause erupted, followed by cheers and applause echoing through crystalline walls. Afterward, festivities continued late into the night, punctuated by bursts of colorful fireworks illuminating the sky. Amidst dancing and feasting, Marcus found moments of peace, watching his new family interact. Elira teased Ceres playfully while Lyria observed with fond amusement, occasionally joining in with witty remarks that left everyone chuckling. Yet behind closed doors, challenges awaited. Adjusting to married life proved more complex than anticipated. Cultural differences surfaced frequently, leading to misunderstandings that sometimes escalated into heated arguments. Once, during a disagreement over meal preferences, Ceres accidentally activated a device causing gravity fluctuations within their quarters. Furniture floated precariously as Marcus scrambled to fix the issue, resulting in hilarity once order restored. Through trial and error, however, bonds strengthened. Shared experiences forged connections deeper than mere obligation demanded. Whether exploring hidden chambers within the palace or embarking on adventures across Xylora's varied landscapes, they discovered joy in collective exploration. Even mundane tasks like cooking became opportunities for bonding, albeit messy ones when Marcus attempted replicating Earth recipes using alien ingredients. Outside domestic bliss, larger issues loomed. News reached the palace of unrest brewing among neighboring planets dissatisfied with Xylora's policies regarding interspecies unions. Rumors hinted at potential rebellion, threatening stability Marcus hadn't fully grasped upon arrival. Determined to protect his adopted home, he volunteered assistance wherever needed, drawing upon military training to strategize defenses alongside royal advisors. One evening, returning from patrol duties, Marcus encountered Lyria waiting anxiously near the entrance. Without uttering a word, she led him to a secluded balcony overlooking sprawling gardens bathed in moonlight. There, she revealed troubling information intercepted from rebel factions planning an attack targeting key locations, including the palace itself. Fear gripped Marcus momentarily before resolve hardened within him. Together, they devised plans combining human tactical expertise with Xyloran technological prowess. Days blurred into nights preparing for inevitable confrontation. Training sessions intensified, involving not only palace guards but also volunteers eager to defend their sovereign. Elira contributed invaluable insights regarding enemy weaknesses gleaned from diplomatic records, while Ceres utilized her knack for infiltration tactics honed during youthful pranks. United, they transformed fear into formidable strength. Battle eventually arrived, swift and brutal. Explosions rocked foundations as invaders breached perimeter defenses. Chaos reigned supreme as combatants clashed amidst smoke-filled corridors. Marcus fought valiantly alongside allies, channeling adrenaline-fueled focus into calculated strikes. At one point, separated from main forces, he stumbled upon Lyria cornered by adversaries. Reacting instinctively, he charged forward, engaging foes with relentless ferocity until reinforcements arrived. Victory came at great cost. Wounded warriors littered battlegrounds, testament to sacrifices made preserving peace. Within the throne room, survivors gathered solemnly, faces etched with exhaustion and sorrow. King Varine addressed assembly, voice steady despite evident grief. Today we stand united, not merely as citizens of Xylora, but as defenders of hope itself. Applause resonated weakly, punctuated by sniffles and whispered condolences. In aftermath, rebuilding efforts commenced swiftly. Damaged structures repaired, lives mourned, futures rebuilt brick by painstaking brick. Through it all, Marcus remained steadfast, supporting wives who balanced mourning losses with nurturing renewal. Together, they navigated complexities of leadership, diplomacy, and personal growth, forever changed by trials endured side by side. And so, life continued within alien palace walls, intertwined destinies shaping narratives still unfolding. Love tested, friendships forged, battles won and lost. All threads woven into tapestry vibrant with possibility. As stars twinkled above, promising endless horizons awaiting discovery, one truth emerged undeniable. Amidst diversity spanning galaxies, connection transcended boundaries, binding hearts across infinite expanses. As the palace began to recover from the aftermath of the battle, whispers of discontent still lingered in the shadows. Though the immediate threat had been neutralized, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that something larger was brewing. A storm hidden beneath calm waters. He noticed subtle changes in Lyria's demeanor. She seemed distant at times, her iridescent skin flickering with shades of gray and blue, colors he'd come to associate with worry or unease. One evening, while walking through the glowing gardens with Lyra, Marcus decided to broach the subject. "You've noticed it too, haven't you?" he asked cautiously. Lyra paused, her luminous eyes reflecting the soft light of the twin moons overhead. She nodded slowly. "Lyria carries burdens she won't share," she admitted. "Something about the rebellion. It goes deeper than we know." Determined to uncover the truth, Marcus sought out Ceres, whose knack for mischief often translated into uncanny resourcefulness. Together, they devised a plan to infiltrate restricted archives within the palace. Using a combination of Earth ingenuity and Xyloran tech, they managed to bypass security systems undetected. What they found there chilled them to their core. Evidence of a secret alliance between certain high-ranking officials on Xylora and factions from neighboring planets. The rebellion wasn't just an external attack, it was a betrayal from within. Armed with this knowledge, Marcus confronted Lyria. At first, she denied everything, her voice trembling as she insisted he was mistaken. But when he showed her the documents retrieved from the archives, her composure crumbled. Tears welled up in her radiant eyes as she confessed. "I knew some among us sympathized with the rebels," she whispered. "But I never imagined it reached so high. Father." Her voice trailed off, guilt etched across her face. The revelation shook Marcus to his core. If even members of the royal family were complicit, how could they trust anyone? And yet, amidst the turmoil, a glimmer of hope emerged. Lyria vowed to expose the traitors no matter the cost. With Marcus by her side, and Lyra and Ceres lending their unique strengths, they began gathering allies loyal to the crown. It was a dangerous game, one that required secrecy and precision. Their efforts led them to an underground network of resistance fighters who had long opposed corruption within the government. Led by a grizzled veteran named Kale, these rebels offered invaluable support. Kale, though initially skeptical of Marcus due to his human origins, soon came to respect his tactical mind and unwavering determination. Under Kale's guidance, Marcus learned more about Xyloran politics and the intricate web of alliances that held, or fractured, their society. Meanwhile, tensions within the palace grew palpable. King Vereen, weakened by age and recent events, struggled to maintain control. Whispers of dissent spread like wildfire, fueled by propaganda crafted by those seeking power. One night, during a council meeting, accusations flew openly. Factions turned against each other, old grievances resurfacing amid chaos. In the heat of argument, a shocking declaration silenced the room. Someone had poisoned the king. Panic erupted as guards scrambled to secure the premises. Lyria rushed to her father's bedside, her hands trembling as she held his frail form. Marcus stood beside her, anger boiling inside him. This was no mere act of treachery. It was an assassination attempt designed to destabilize the monarchy entirely. As physicians worked tirelessly to save the king, Marcus took charge of investigating the source of the poison. Through painstaking detective work, they traced the toxin back to a rare plant native to Xylora's forbidden forests, a place guarded not only by natural perils but also by ancient taboos. Venturing there would be perilous, but Marcus knew it was necessary. Accompanied by Lyra, whose keen intellect proved invaluable, and Ceres, whose agility allowed them to navigate treacherous terrain, he set out on a mission that tested every ounce of their courage. The journey through the forbidden forest was harrowing. Strange creatures lurked in the shadows, their glowing eyes watching silently. Plants shifted and writhed as if alive, releasing spores that clouded judgment and twisted reality. At one point, Ceres accidentally triggered a trap, causing vines to lash out and ensnare them. Only quick thinking, and Elira's encyclopedic knowledge of flora, saved them from being consumed by the forest itself. When they finally located the plant responsible for the poison, they discovered something unexpected. A hidden enclave of exiled Xylorans living deep within the woods. These individuals, cast out for crimes real or imagined, harbored resentment toward the ruling class. Their leader, a charismatic figure named Nyx, revealed that the poison had been stolen from their stores, not gifted willingly, as originally suspected. Nyx agreed to help, but only if Marcus promised to advocate for their return to society once peace was restored. Reluctantly, Marcus agreed, knowing it was a risk worth taking. Armed with antidotes and newfound allies, they raced back to the palace, where time was running out. Upon their return, they found the situation dire. The king lay unconscious, his condition worsening despite medical intervention. Traitors within the court moved boldly now, seizing key positions and consolidating power. A coup loomed on the horizon, threatening to plunge Xylora into civil war. In a desperate bid to turn the tide, Lyria addressed the assembled nobles, her voice ringing clear and strong. With Marcus standing proudly beside her, she laid bare the conspiracy, presenting evidence gathered during their investigation. Gasps rippled through the chamber as names were revealed, faces paled, and accusations flew. Some denied involvement vehemently, while others slunk away, realizing their schemes had unraveled. But exposing the truth was only half the battle. As order teetered precariously on the brink of collapse, Marcus rallied loyalists to defend the palace. Side by side with Kale's rebel fighters, they prepared for what might become the final stand. Yet amidst the tension, moments of levity emerged. Ceres cracked jokes to lighten spirits, while Elira kept everyone grounded with practical advice. Even Lyria, burdened by responsibility, found solace in shared laughter. The climactic confrontation unfolded under a sky ablaze with stars. Forces clashed in dazzling displays of light and energy, weapons humming with alien technology. Marcus fought valiantly, drawing upon every lesson learned during his military career. Beside him, Lyria wielded powers inherent to her royal lineage, her iridescent form glowing brighter with each strike against tyranny. Just when victory seemed uncertain, reinforcements arrived unexpectedly. Ships descended from orbit, bearing emissaries from allied planets outraged by the betrayal uncovered. United, they overwhelmed the conspirators, forcing them to surrender. Order was restored, though scars remained visible in battered walls and weary hearts. With the immediate crisis averted, attention turned to rebuilding trust and forging new paths forward. Marcus, Lyria, Elira, and Ceres stood united, determined to shape a future where unity transcended division. They envisioned reforms ensuring fairness and transparency, measures protecting both Xylorans and any outsiders fortunate enough to call this wondrous world home. Yet even as celebrations commenced, hints of further challenges lingered. Rumors spoke of distant empires eyeing Xylora covetously, eager to exploit its resources and strategic position. Others whispered of ancient artifacts buried deep beneath the planet's surface, relics said to hold unimaginable power. Whatever lay ahead, Marcus knew one thing for certain. Alongside his extraordinary wives, he would face it head-on, guided by love, resilience, and an unyielding belief in connection across galaxies. As the dust settled from the political upheaval and the palace began to regain its rhythm, a new kind of tension brewed, this time within the walls of Marcus's own home. The bond between him and his three wives had been tested by external threats, but now an internal struggle threatened to unravel their fragile harmony. It started subtly. Elira, always practical and observant, noticed that Marcus seemed to spend more time strategizing with Lyria in royal chambers or attending diplomatic meetings alongside her. While these responsibilities were necessary, it left little room for moments shared exclusively with Elira or Ceres. At first, she tried to brush it off, reminding herself of the weight on Marcus's shoulders as both a protector of Xylora and a husband juggling multiple relationships. But when one evening turned into several without so much as a private conversation, her patience began to wear thin. Ceres, ever impulsive and expressive, didn't hold back her feelings. One morning, as Marcus prepared to leave for another round of negotiations, she cornered him near the grand staircase. "You've forgotten about us, haven't you?" she accused, arms crossed over her chest. Her playful demeanor was replaced with something sharp and accusing. All this saving the kingdom nonsense. It's just an excuse. Marcus blinked, caught off guard. What are you talking about? I'm doing everything I can to keep all of you safe. Safe isn't enough. Saris shot back, her voice rising slightly. We're not just pieces on your chessboard, Marcus. We're your wives. The argument drew the attention of passers-by, including Elira, who quickly intervened before things escalated further. She ushered them both into a nearby sitting room, closing the doors behind them. Once inside, the air grew heavy with unspoken grievances. It's true, Elira said quietly, her tone measured but firm. You've been absent. Not physically, perhaps, but emotionally. You're always with Lyria, discussing plans, making decisions. Meanwhile, Saris and I feel like afterthoughts. Marcus ran a hand through his hair, frustration mounting. I don't understand why you're upset. Lyria is queen in waiting. These matters concern her directly. It's not like I'm choosing favorites here. I'm trying to protect everyone. But do we have to beg for scraps of your attention? Saris interjected, tears welling up in her eyes despite her attempts to appear defiant. Do you even realize how long it's been since you spent any real time with me? Or with Elira? The accusation struck a nerve. Marcus thought back to recent weeks or maybe months and realized they were right. Between battles, conspiracies, and rebuilding efforts, he'd let personal connections slip through the cracks. He glanced at Elira, hoping for some support, but found only disappointment mirrored in her luminous gaze. Lyria, hearing the commotion from down the hall, joined them shortly after. Seeing the strained expressions on everyone's faces, she immediately understood what was happening. Guilt flickered across her features as she stepped forward. This is my fault, she admitted softly. I've leaned too heavily on Marcus these past weeks. I never intended to monopolize his time. That doesn't mean he gets a free pass, Sarah snapped, though her anger softened slightly at Lyria's admission. No, it doesn't, Lyria agreed, turning to Marcus. But this jealousy stems from neglect, not preference. If we're going to make this work, if we are truly going to be a family, you need to find balance. For the first time in days, silence fell among them. Marcus looked around the room, taking in the hurt etched onto each face. He felt a pang of shame, not because they were wrong, but because they were absolutely right. In his quest to save Zylora, he'd forgotten the very people who made life worth saving. I'm sorry, he said finally, his voice thick with emotion. You're all right. I failed you, and I'll do whatever it takes to fix this. His words seemed to ease some of the tension, but forgiveness wouldn't come easily. Over the following days, Marcus made a conscious effort to carve out time for each wife individually. For Saris, he arranged impromptu picnics in the glowing gardens, where they laughed over silly stories and chased fireflies that danced in the twilight. With Elira, he explored the palace library, delving into ancient texts and debating philosophy late into the night. And for Lyria, he accompanied her on quiet walks beneath the twin moons, listening intently as she spoke of hopes and fears she hadn't dared to share before. Yet even as progress was made, old habits died hard. During one particularly busy week, Marcus unintentionally missed a dinner planned by Elira, a gesture meant to bring everyone together. When he returned late, exhausted and covered in dirt from overseeing construction repairs, he found Elira waiting alone at the table. Candles burned low. You promised, she said simply, her voice trembling. You promised you'd try. Marcus sank into a chair, guilt washing over him anew. I know. I messed up again. Elira sighed, pushing aside her plate. It's not just about promises, Marcus. It's about priorities. We love you, but sometimes it feels like loving you means losing parts of ourselves. Her words hit harder than any accusation could. That night, unable to sleep, Marcus wandered the palace corridors until he stumbled upon Saris practicing archery in the moonlit courtyard. She lowered her bow when she saw him approach, her expression unreadable. Still feeling guilty? She asked wryly. Yeah, he admitted. And I don't know how to fix it. Saris tilted her head, studying him for a moment. Then, with a mischievous grin, she handed him the bow. Start by hitting the target. Confused but willing, Marcus took aim. His first shot went wide, embedding itself harmlessly in a tree trunk. Saris laughed, shaking her head. Focus, soldier. You're better than that. With her guidance, Marcus adjusted his stance, steadied his breathing, and fired again. This time, the arrow struck close to the center. Though far from perfect, it earned an approving nod from Saris. See? Progress takes practice, she said lightly. Just like being married to 3 aliens. Despite himself, Marcus chuckled. For the first time in days, the weight on his shoulders felt slightly lighter. Maybe fixing their fractured dynamic wouldn't happen overnight. But if they kept aiming true, they might just hit the mark eventually. Little did they know, however, that their personal struggles were about to intersect with a larger crisis. News arrived from distant sectors of the galaxy. Fleets of unknown origin were approaching Xylora, their intentions unclear. As tensions mounted once more, the question arose: could Marcus and his wives overcome their differences in time to face yet another existential threat? Or would internal fractures weaken their defenses beyond repair? As the unknown fleets approached Xylora, panic spread across the planet. The palace buzzed with activity as preparations for defense intensified. Marcus, now more attuned to the delicate balance of his relationships, knew that this challenge would require not just strategic brilliance but also unity among his family. He gathered Lyria, Elira, and Ceres in their private chambers, determined to face whatever lay ahead together. "We've been through worse," Marcus began, his voice steady despite the storm brewing outside. "But this time we do it as one. No secrets, no divisions." Lyria nodded, her iridescent skin glowing faintly with resolve. "You're right. If we stand united, nothing can break us. Not invaders, not jealousy, not fear." Elira added pragmatically, "We'll need everyone's strengths. Marcus, your tactical mind. Lyria, your leadership. Ceres and I will handle logistics and intelligence. Together, we're unstoppable." Ceres grinned mischievously, twirling an arrow between her fingers. "And if all else fails, I'll shoot some fancy alien spaceships out of the sky. Sounds fun, doesn't it?" Their shared laughter eased the tension, reminding them of why they had come together in the first place. Love, trust, and a bond stronger than any obstacle. With renewed determination, they threw themselves into preparing for the impending confrontation. Days turned into weeks as Xylora braced for impact. The mysterious fleet entered orbit, its ships sleek and ominous against the shimmering skies. Initial communications revealed that these newcomers were explorers from a distant empire seeking new alliances, and possibly conquest. Diplomacy became crucial, and Lyria took center stage, negotiating terms while Marcus coordinated defensive measures alongside Kale and his rebel fighters. Meanwhile, Elira worked tirelessly behind the scenes, analyzing data and uncovering weaknesses in the invaders' technology. Her discoveries proved invaluable when she identified a vulnerability in their shield systems, a flaw that could be exploited using ancient Xyloran weaponry stored deep within the palace vaults. Ceres, ever resourceful, led daring missions to retrieve these relics, her agility and wit ensuring success where others might have faltered. When the final showdown arrived, it was a spectacle unlike any other. The skies above Xylora lit up with bursts of energy as battles raged both in space and on the ground. Marcus fought valiantly at the forefront, leading troops with unwavering courage. Beside him stood Lyria, wielding powers passed down through generations of royal bloodlines, her form radiant with ethereal light. From hidden vantage points, Elira directed operations with precision, while Ceres darted through chaos like a comet, striking targets with lethal accuracy. In the heat of battle, a moment of clarity struck Marcus. It wasn't just about protecting Xylora or defending their home. It was about preserving the future they had built together. As he glanced toward the palace, where lights flickered softly in windows, he imagined a life beyond war. Laughter echoing through halls, children running freely under twin moons, and 4 hearts beating as one. The tide turned when Elira's intel allowed Marcus to orchestrate a decisive strike against the invaders' flagship. With shields disabled, the vessel faltered, signaling retreat to the rest of the fleet. Cheers erupted across Xylora as the remaining ships withdrew, leaving peace and hope in their wake. In the aftermath, celebrations filled the air once more. Citizens flooded streets adorned with floating flowers, music drifting through crystalline corridors. Within the palace, Marcus and his wives found solace in each other's arms, grateful for survival and victory alike. Months passed, and life settled into a rhythm of harmony. The scars of conflict faded, replaced by joyous milestones. First came the announcement that Lyria was expecting, a revelation met with tears of happiness and excited chatter about nursery designs. Not long after, Elira revealed she too carried new life within her, followed shortly by Ceres, whose delighted squeals echoed throughout the palace. As years unfolded, The once tumultuous household transformed into a haven of warmth and laughter. Children, each unique yet unmistakably part of their extraordinary family, filled every corner with boundless energy. Some bore traits reminiscent of Earth, others glowed faintly like their Xyloran heritage, and all embodied the love that had brought their parents together. Marcus watched proudly as Lyria guided their eldest daughter through lessons in leadership. Elira taught their curious son the intricacies of science, and Ceres chased giggling toddlers through gardens aglow with bioluminescence. In quiet moments, he marveled at how far they'd come. From strangers separated by galaxies to a family woven together by shared trials and triumphs. One evening, as stars twinkled above and twin moons bathed the palace in silvery light, Marcus stood on a balcony overlooking the grounds. Lyria joined him, leaning gently against his shoulder. Behind them, Elira and Ceres played tag with their children, laughter ringing clear and pure. "Do you remember when we thought we couldn't make this work?" Lyria asked softly, her voice tinged with nostalgia. Marcus smiled, wrapping an arm around her. "Every day, and every day, I'm reminded how wrong we were." They stood there silently, watching as their little universe thrived beneath endless skies. Love, resilience, and connection had carried them through storms both external and internal. Now, surrounded by the fruits of their journey, they embraced the simple truth. Happiness wasn't measured by perfection but by perseverance. The willingness to keep aiming true, even when the target seemed impossibly far away. And so, under shimmering constellations and amid glowing gardens, Marcus, Lyria, Elira, and Ceres lived happily ever after. Their story, a tale of courage, humor, drama, and interstellar bonds, became legend, whispered among stars and celebrated across galaxies. For in a universe vast and unpredictable, they had discovered something rare and beautiful. A family forged not by chance, but by choice.